Hi there, this is Angie Carpenter, Islip Town Supervisor, welcoming you to this edition of Supervisor Spotlight. We're here in the wonderful studios of 103.9 Long Island News Radio. Thank you, John Cracchiola and crew, for being so gracious. And the studios are sited at Long Island MacArthur Airport. And our special guest today is Shelley LaRose-Arken, who is the commissioner here at the airport. This is your home, away from home every day. It's been about a year since you've been the commissioner. I know Shelley's been on the show before, but we thought it was time for an update. Lots of exciting things happening at the airport, and who best to share it than you?
Thank you. Thanks for having me again today. I really appreciate that.
So let's start. We had a few exciting visitors just last week, and I'll let you share. They came from the Midwest from Dallas. So tell everyone who was here and how exciting that all was.
So, and really courtesy of Long Island Association, who is one of our partners and advocates for the airport, Kevin Law is the president of that association, and he had invited, in association with us, Southwest Airlines to come and visit and talk about their plans, their network plans for their business model, and also plans for Long Island MacArthur Airport. So three folks from Southwest came from Texas, all senior management from their network planning department, as well as their business and marketing department and capacity group. So we were very fortunate to have three of them on site to talk about what Southwest Airlines is doing. And I thought there were some great points that they made to the board of Long Island Association and also to our staff and the town. Some of them talked about, that Southwest has this long history of being a point-to-point airline. They serve 102 cities today. And something that Dave Doty had shared with us is that they look at 2000 as the lost decade. And he made it a point to say that so many airlines have had mergers, bankruptcies, except for Southwest. Southwest still remains Southwest during that period of time, and they right-sized it.
Well, what was interesting, I was at the presentation, and as Shelley said, this was the Long Island Association's executive board meeting, and this came out of a press event that we had a couple of months back where we were announcing our new marketing campaign. And Kevin Law, who serves on an airport advisory board, who Shelley said is a tremendous proponent for our airport, and we're so very grateful for his dedication, really. But he was there, and was Dave Doty. Actually, Nate was here from Southwest Airlines, which was kind of important, too, that they sent a representative to be at that, launch of the advertising campaign. And I introduced them, and it was like, oh, well, would you come to a meeting? And it happened. So it was really, really great. But these are Long Island's movers and shakers, the people that are on the Long Island Association Executive Board, and I think it numbers about 40 or so, and they're quite a number here that morning. These are the corporate executives. These are, heads of the largest not-for-profits sitting there coming into our airport. And what was interesting to me was that some of them had never been to the airport before and were really very, very impressed. So, it's funny how it's kind of serendipitous sometimes that, a situation arises and you don't know where that's, going to take you. But the fact that Southwest sent 3 reps here for that meeting, that they did a fine job, talking about their company, the largest domestic airline, in the country is here at Long Island MacArthur Airport. I mean, that's incredible.
And they pointed out to us as well that they are, out of the 5 largest airports in New York, they serve 4 of those.
Right.
So they have a huge presence in the state of New York and serving, our customers that are here. I thought it was great when Dave Doty said to us, he said, if you love your airport, use your airport. And Angie, you and I have been out there advocating for it and saying, if you're traveling 3 times this year and you make that choice to make one trip out of Long Island MacArthur Airport, it will make all the difference in the world. And we say stress less, pay less, when you choose to use this airport. So,
and it certainly has been, confirmed, reinforced in a myriad of ways that you certainly do stress less when you fly out of Islip Airport. Parking from the minute you drive in, you don't have the traffic jams. You're not on Grand Central Parkway, as one of the other airports in the area is, and all of the horrors that entails. You pull up, you can drop your passengers off with ease. Pull into, if you're a town resident, you should have your parking sticker, 71 steps from the edge of the parking lot to the terminal building. It doesn't get more convenient than that. And the parking is safe. No one ever has to worry about what happens to their car when they're away for a week or two when it's parked at our airport. Then when you come in, it's clean, it's beautiful, and going through TSA is never a horror, which we hear that people have to endure at many, many, many other airports. So,
very efficient lines, efficient lines. And then we can't forget the rail station.
Exactly.
The railroad and our taxi cab company here offers 24/7 service for $5, transportation to and from the terminal building, which is so convenient for folks who don't want to drive.
And Shelley is talking about the Long Island Railroad Station at Ronkonkoma, one of the largest train stations, but they offer direct service to Penn Station, to and from Penn Station. And actually at Penn Station, you can buy a ticket that will give you your train ride to Ronkonkoma and the transfer to get you to the airport, one ticket. And it literally is minutes away, to get from the train station here to the airport. That is such a huge, huge advantage to the traveling public that sometimes they don't understand and appreciate.
Exactly. And then the parking fees are less expensive, and just the general overall customer experience that the airport has to offer a passenger that's traveling. There's plenty of space. Bag claim is easy. It's quick. It's efficient. In addition to the security lines.
So certainly the stress less, pay less, is true. And, there is some that would counter that, well, I don't know about the pay less. Sometimes tickets are more when you're booking, out of Islip than you might be from one of the other airlines. But if you stop to think about the time involved, and time is money, especially for business travelers, the time that you have to factor in to get you from, Long Island, from Suffolk, into either of the two other major airports, the increased parking fees, the time you spend on the TSA line, everything else that's involved. I mean, if you take car service from Islip to the one of the other airports, first of all, you blew it right there. It's easily $100, if not more.
In addition to that, too, many of our carriers offer free bags, first bag free.
Right.
We have that. We talk a lot about if passengers or customers are willing to make that one stop in Baltimore, Washington, or Philadelphia with our partner Airlines, that they will pay less when they're going to the West Coast. So there are tickets that are out there and available that will cost less overall. But savvy customers, they have to research that and make sure they're getting the best deal, certainly. But stress less, absolutely. We're always 100% of that.
And, when Shelley speaks about, how much easier it is here at the airport, we've been working diligently in air service development and trying to, engender more service out of, the airport. But customer experience is something that all of the surveys come back, and across the board, there is not an airline that can compare with the customer experience that we have here available to the traveling public at Islip MacArthur Airport. There are so many other exciting things, and we're going to share them with you, but we need to take a little bit of a break. And we'll be back with Shelley LaRose-Arken, our commissioner at Long Island MacArthur Airport. Thank you. Hi there, and welcome back to Supervisor Spotlight. My name is Angie Carpenter, supervisor of the town of Islip. here at Long Island MacArthur Airport in the studios of 103.9 Long Island News Radio. And with us today, we have Shelley LaRose-Arken, the commissioner of the airport here. We were talking a little bit about the wonderful customer experience at Long Island MacArthur Airport and the opportunities to not only go to the nonstop destinations that we provide here at the airport, and there are a number of them, but going through either Philadelphia or Baltimore, you can get to almost any other place in the country. And also international destinations are available to you, particularly going through Fort Lauderdale.
Most people don't think of Fort Lauderdale as a connection for international travel, but our airline partner, Southwest, shared with us a lot of information about their new customs facility that they have down at Fort Lauderdale International, and that they're expanding their international operation as part of the acquisition of the AirTran business line. And so they're very excited to build that as a network. So when you're booking international travel, opposed to those New York competitor airports, take a look at Southwest connections through Fort Lauderdale. They also shared with us that through their Baltimore market now, you can reach any of their cities. So their reservation system has recently been upgraded that allows the traveler to connect to any of the cities that they serve. And there are 102 cities in the United States that they serve, as well as the international connections too.
You know, when you mention Fort Lauderdale, it brings to mind that we have an awful lot of people in our region that love to cruise, and very often are booking their cruise out of Florida. And I would urge everyone, if you can, book out of Fort Lauderdale. Have that be your port, because the airport is located very, very close. It is, 10 minutes, I think, a cab ride away from the airport to Fort Lauderdale docks, where the cruise ships are. And you fly direct to Fort Lauderdale, and you get on your cruise ship, and off you go to your exotic destination, rather than trying to go through Orlando or Miami.
Miami, yeah. That's a long walk and a long drive to the ports. Yeah.
It's a long drive. And in Orlando, I believe it's a good hour, transfer from the airport to get to Port Canaveral to where the ships, sail from there. So really, I'm sure most travel agents will tell you that, although people are doing much more of their booking themselves. But if you're cruising this summer, think about flying, out of Islip to Fort Lauderdale and then going on your way.
And we always want to continue to have our residents of Long Island and particularly Suffolk County share with their friends and relatives that if they're visiting Long Island, use Long Island MacArthur Airport as well. We want to build up the inbound traffic just as much as our outbound traffic. So that is one of our focuses.
It was interesting, too, when the gentlemen were here from Southwest. In addition to making their presentation to the LIA, it became a little bit of a familiarization tour for them because, with the exception of one, the other two had never really been here. So there was a little bit of a whirlwind tour, but also a realization on their part that when they talked about inbound customers coming in here, that the opportunity really, really exists because we are a tourism destination, although as a region we haven't always marketed ourselves as well as we should have. But we certainly offer so much for someone who's never been to Long Island before. And I say Long Island particularly and not New York, because when people hear New York, they think, or they know that Long Island is in New York, they picture us, if they've never been here, that it's New York City. And we know that New York certainly is much more than New York City. As great as New York City is, the fact that we are a train ride away from the middle of Manhattan really adds to the reasons why people might want to fly into Long Island, even if they are spending a few days in the city. Fly in here first. It's a lot more reasonable. It's a lot easier, and probably a lot safer. On a few counts to fly in here. And certainly, when Shelley said encouraging your visitors that might be coming to visit you here to fly into this airport rather than the city airports, anybody who's got to go pick up someone at the airport, it's like, oh my God, please don't tell me I have to pick you up at, JFK or LaGuardia. You've got to allow yourself so much time based on what time that flight is due in. And if the flight, time has been delayed and you're trying to circle because you can't park, and it's a horror. So I don't think it's too much to ask people out there. If you have someone visiting, encourage them to fly into Islip.
Right, absolutely. It is, and especially during the summer months, it's more challenging as you hit those New York City airports rather than coming here as well. So it's good to know, because this is the high travel season.
Exactly.
All the kids are getting out of school at the end of the week, and the flights are booked.
Well, the flights are booked, and there are more flights that are going to be coming into the airport. It is something that we're working on, and as I referred to earlier, the air service delivery or the efforts that we're doing in that endeavor, for the very first time, I think the airport has engaged a professional team to study that, and it's such a specialized area. It's not as simple as knocking on an airline's door and saying, oh, come to my airport. It's a lot more complicated than that because of the changing dynamics in the industry over the past number of years, and FAA regulations and, regarding pilots and how long they can be in the air, and, mergers of airlines. So much has changed. And Shelley, talked to us about that professional team that we've got in place and how important that really is.
It's crucial. And we've learned so much from it. And I've talked to some of my counterparts at some of the other airports in New York State, and we really are groundbreaking. Our air service program is developing our customer and bringing them to the airport, and it is unique. There are only 3 other airports in the country that are doing this. We're very fortunate in that we have a stakeholder group that's invested in the airport and wants to see the airport grow and wants to see air service grow. And we all play a role in that, just like we talked about. Making a difference and showing the airline that we're there and we're committed as a customer is so important, and that's what we get out there and talk about all the time. So traditional programs, you might go to a conference, you might have 5 minutes with an airline, talk to them about who you are, what you do, but they never really get a feel for what at least Long Island MacArthur Airport is investing in their partner airlines and investing in their airport in the way of building demand. So Frontier is joining us in August. We're really excited for the inaugural event that will happen August 16th. And they're bringing in an Airbus A320, which holds 189 passengers. So it's quite a large aircraft. You and I have talked to a lot of folks in the community and said, oh, why Orlando? Why did they choose to serve Orlando? Well, Orlando is still a huge market for Long Island. And there's plenty of customers that want to use service out of this airport down to Orlando. So we have Southwest now that will provide service there, and Frontier that will begin providing service there. So we're truly excited that they're joining our team, and we think there's more to come with Frontier.
Well, I'm sure there is more to come. I'm very confident that there is. When you made that reference to people questioning why Orlando when we're already flying there, as part of that initiative, with our outreach and our air service delivery, or development rather, there were 20 cities, I believe, that were targeted to be underserved from this area, and Orlando was one of them.
Number one.
So they, the airlines, they do their due diligence when they're making these kinds of decisions. They know that they're going to be able to fill those planes, and we'll be having daily service, one up, one back, 7 days a week on Frontier, in addition to the multiple flights that Southwest offers. So it's going to be, very well received, and has been already from the flying public here at Islip Airport.
And it's so important to the bottom line of the airport as well,
Absolutely.
To keep the airport growing, to rehabilitate older parts of the building that we need to. And this effort...
It's happening.
But
we have to take a break.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
We'll be back in a few moments to wrap up this edition of Supervisor Spotlight. Thank you. Welcome back to Supervisor Spotlight. I'm Angie, Carpenter, Supervisor of the town of Islip, home to Long Island MacArthur Airport, and its Commissioner, Shelley LaRose-Arken, who is our guest today, sharing some really exciting information about what's happening here at the airport. And Shelley just shared, and we're going to talk a little bit more about our new airline partner here at the airport, and that is Frontier Airlines, who has been, they have some longevity. They've been in the business now 20 plus years. And meeting with their reps was very informative, very interesting. Learned a lot about Frontier Airlines, and their business model is a little bit different. So it gives consumers a choice in what they want to do, as far as you kind of start at a base fare and then you add on what you want. So if you're taking bags, you're opt to pay for that fee. If you want snacks on the plane, you check off snacks on the plane. But, if you want to fly no frills and you know where you're going and you've got your, stuff all there, you just get on the plane and go. So at a reduced fare. So it's an interesting model. I'm curious to see how it's all going to play out, but I think it'll be good because, Shelley, you said that first flight, how are they doing with that?
The first flight, the inaugural flight going outbound from here is already 65% full. So I think the word has gotten around that.
So that's 2 months away.
Which is unusual for their booking.
Cool. That is incredible. And in the middle of summer, where most people would say Florida in summer, but it is a popular destination, especially Orlando.
Right. And they have the two products. They have the pay for what you use product and then the works. So if there's a customer that desires more, they want their bag included, a seat assignment, other things, and they want to get on their website and apply for the works. And we have all of our airlines that are listed on flymacarthur.com, and of course Frontier is on there, so you can access their website very easily and book your tickets.
Well, that's something new too. With the new initiative, this flymacarthur.com was not something that was there before, so our, viewers should be aware of that you can go to flymacarthur.com and know all of the offerings that we have here at the airport. So that's huge.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Frontier, their strategy is more of a social media strategy. So I would expect that a lot of people would see their advertisements over the next month or two coming out on different venues on social media. Certainly you can see it on our website as well. They're planning some great events for the inaugural. So their airplane will come in from Orlando. And then there are games and all kinds of things. So if people are looking to have a really interesting outbound flight to Orlando, that's the flight to be on.
Oh, absolutely. Right. I didn't even think about that.
They're going to do...
What time is that flight going out?
9:55 is the inbound flight, and it departs about 45 minutes later. And they're going to do a game for the person who gets to cut the ribbon and board the first aircraft. So
cool.
Whoever wins this game, whatever they decide it's going to be, they're going to get to cut the ribbon.
Oh, that's really great.
They really believe in getting their customer involved in their product. So it should be an interesting day.
And they have something unique in how their planes are signed, in that on the tail of every plane is a different animal.
Correct. Yes. And they actually offer trading cards with the tail of each aircraft. So a lot of folks, actually, their regular customers, trade those trading cards back and forth, which is neat.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, when the rep from Frontier was here at the press conference when we announced the addition of the airline to our family here at Islip Airport, she was so impressed with our stress less, pay less slogan, so much so that she said she wished she had thought of it first, and liked that. And also, too, they position themselves to be a green airline. They're very, very environmentally conscious, environmentally friendly. Their aircraft, in the next couple of years, the average age of their aircraft is going to be 4 years old. And, they are really constantly upgrading, and of course the newer aircraft are more environmentally friendly, less quieter, energy efficient, so that's all important to the overall picture of what we are at this airport, because We want to service the flying public, but we want to be sensitive to those around us, our neighbors. And the neighbors around us have been very supportive, very appreciative. I know the local, chamber and civic association, every event we have, they're here. They're some of our staunchest supporters, Bruce and his team there, we're really delighted that we have that kind
at
of
the Ronkonkoma Civic and Bohemia Civic, and they're always with us and willing to help and get the information out to residents that need to be distributed, or come to us in reverse, people who have concerns, and so that we can address it with facts. Which is really great.
It's funny. In fact, just before I left the office today, I meant to grab an email I had gotten with someone offering suggestions for how, things could be better at the airport. Everybody's like trying to, take ownership and be a part of it. And that's what it's all about. It's your airport. It's your airport. Use it, love it like we do, use it and you'll love it. We have some more amenities coming.
We do.
To the airport. You want to tell us about that?
So we had done a solicitation some time ago, and there wasn't a huge interest. So we started researching different groups that might be interested in putting in a restaurant in the terminal building. And at the end of the day, there were 3 groups who had an interest in doing that. And we selected recently Terry's Cafe, who will provide grab-and-go sandwiches, coffee in the terminal building.
Now, this is downstairs prior to
post-security.
So when you're first coming in, or you're coming in, sitting here waiting for a flight to come in to pick somebody up, people want, some service, so we're able to do that now.
It's a great opportunity for the folks who have organized and run Terry's Cafe. You may see some of their products in the rest stop on the Long Island Expressway as well.
The rest stop.
Yep. So they have some history in doing this. They make some incredible homemade muffins that are to die for. I'm afraid I tried a couple, but we're really excited to have them. So we expect to sign contracts shortly. And then there's a 60-day build-out period. So they'll be joining us closer to the end of the summer.
Well, that'll be wonderful. So with Frontier coming on board the 16th, the launch party, really promises to be very, very exciting. We touched on it briefly about international travel that, people can avail themselves of now through Fort Lauderdale. But there is something exciting, on the horizon for us, and that is a new customs facility and what all of that entails. And people may not be aware of it, and I certainly wasn't, but that there are hundreds of international flights that come in and out of this airport every year already. They are not commercial, they're general aviation, private corporate jets that come in and out, but they're flying to foreign destinations, flying in from foreign destination, international destinations. So we are poised and able to handle that on a commercial basis, but we need to move towards that, and we're working on that.
There are 800 flights that come in and out of the Long Island airports that are international general aviation, and 200 of those flights actually come to Long Island MacArthur Airport. So we're building the customs facility to meet today's Customs and Border Protection standards for processing international passengers.
And certainly with everything that has happened in recent years, those restrictions or those requirements have changed or greater, and certainly not what we have in place now.
Exactly. And we, it was late last year, we gathered a stakeholder group to give us insight on what their thoughts were. And what came out of the customs feasibility study was that we should evaluate 2 different alternatives, one for the north side of the airport, which would be a standalone customs facility, and one for the south side of the airport. So that was really, that's been an exciting process, and we can talk about that a little bit more.
Okay. It sounds really good. It has been an exciting process, and we've gotten a tremendous amount of support from the New York State Regional Economic Development Council, Governor Cuomo, the LIA. All of our partners have been very, very supportive, and that's, something we'll talk about more in the future. But right now we are out of time, and I thank Shelley, for all of your efforts here at the airport. You've really done such an incredible job in helping us get people to really embrace and understand how special Long Island MacArthur Airport is. Thank you for being with us today at Supervisor Spotlight. We'll catch you soon.